Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Before we start, remember you can get all of the KCC video content on podcast. Just search for Karma Comment Chameleon Podcast on every major podcasting platform. Alright, on to the stories, let's jump right in. This story also comes to us from A Quiet Borderline. You want me to get the attention of your husband, CO? It's your funeral. So, over the past few days, I've become friends with a retired army officer that I'll call Belle. She's been delighting me with stories of her service, and she shared this wonderful story that I think you all will enjoy. Names and some details have been changed to protect the innocent. Belle was a young second lieutenant at her first posting. As she put it, my college diploma hadn't even arrived in the mail, and I was scared as hell. Fortunately, she got on the NCO's good side and settled in pretty nicely. One afternoon, she was at work when in storms an officer's wife, looking like she was in the mood to cause hell. Belle keeps her head down trying to stay busy when she hears the dreaded words, "I'm talking to you, soldier." Belle looked up and saw the woman, let's call her Karen because why not, standing in front of her. "Can I help you, ma'am?" Belle said. "Yeah, I'm Major Mick I'm So Important's wife, and I need to speak to Colonel Stone." "Do you have an appointment? He's busy," Belle asked. "Just go get him. I'll stand right here until you do." Belle looks around, wondering what the hell she's supposed to do. She didn't want to risk her job because Colonel Stone was known around the base for having a fierce temper. "I'll have you knocked back down to private if you don't do as I say," Karen shouts. "Now move." Wanting to get away, Belle got up and walked toward the Colonel's office, intending to get away for a long enough coffee break that Karen will forget. When she looked back, she sees Karen is watching her like a hawk. So there goes that plan. Colonel Stone's door is closed and Belle knocks on the door. "Yes?" Colonel Stone barked. "Sir, it's Second Lieutenant Belle Smith," she said. "Come in." Belle opens the door, does the customary salute, and he immediately notices how nervous she is. "What is it?" "Major Mick I'm So Important's wife is here and she wants to speak with you," Belle said, her voice squeaking. "Does she have an appointment?" "She just said to go get you and she wouldn't leave until you saw her." "I see. Did she threaten to knock you down to private?" "She did." Colonel Stone nodded and then said in a voice that scared Belle, "Send her in." Belle salutes and then goes back to Karen. Karen looks absolutely smug. "He'll see you now," Belle said. "See, now that wasn't so hard, was it?" Karen said, strolling over to the Colonel's office. It is at this point that a first sergeant named Sanders comes in. He just sits down, and as the office door closes, he counts down in a low voice. 3, 2, 1. "What the hell were you thinking?" Colonel Stone shouted. For a good 5 minutes, he proceeded to tear Karen a new butthole, telling her that she isn't permitted to wear her husband's rank, and that if she tries pulling anything like that ever again, her husband will be busted down to private faster than he could sneeze. Karen left the office like a bat out of hell, white as a sheet and quaking. Belle never saw her again, but she and the Major got divorced shortly afterwards. According to Belle, he realized what a liability she'd be to his career. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Sailing Spark. It says, "As a Navy brat, I have heard all about spouses assuming their husband's rank. Dependopotamus is one of the nicer things I have heard them called." Another user down below called Miranova82 said, "Control your dependents was a very common phrase when my husband was in. Looks like the Major controlled her straight out of Dependopotamus land, probably after a dressing down by the Colonel and hearing said phrase." I live in the town with Canada's largest Air Force base, and oh my gosh, I've worked enough customer-facing jobs here to know that this is absolutely a thing. There are people out there that wear their spouse's ranks on their own sleeves, and they think they can get away with it. We're not quite done hearing stories from Belle and Colonel Stone, so let's get into the next one. This story comes to us also from A Quiet Borderline, the legend of the window washers. This story was told to me by Belle, a friend of mine who is a retired army officer, and takes place during the late 90s to early aughts when she was a second lieutenant. This story is more unintentional malicious compliance than anything else. A fresh batch of second lieutenants had arrived when this story starts. Among this group is a young man who had the misfortune of being nicknamed Dum Dum when he was a cadet, after the lollipop because he liked to eat them. The man was a skilled software engineer and became popular because he was friendly, helpful, and personable. Unfortunately, he wasn't the shrillest whistle on the football field. Not a lot of common sense. One time, he punched himself in the face when told to beat his face, aka do push-ups. When the others realized this, they made sure to make orders clear. Unfortunately, this story is about one of the times when someone forgot about that. One day, word arrives that a general is coming to the base. Because of this, Colonel Stone, the same one who reamed out a major's wife for threatening Belle's rank, was in a particularly foul mood. Wanting to avoid getting chewed out, Belle volunteers to run several errands. After finishing, she's passing a building when she sees an odd sight. There, standing on another second lieutenant's shoulders, was Dum Dum, and he was holding a bucket and sponge. Belle sees that Dum Dum is washing the windows, while the other second lieutenant, let's designate him Stepstool, was balancing him, holding onto his ankles. According to Belle, it was like watching a car wreck. You know you should look away, but you just can't. She hears Stone stop next to her, also with a befuddled look on his face. It's at this moment that Stepstool notices that they have an audience and stumbles. This causes Dum Dum to lose his balance, and he falls to the ground, causing a bloody nose. Belle and Stone get splashed by soapy water from the bucket. All three second lieutenants stand to attention. "What are you two idiots doing?" Stone asked. "We were ordered to wash the windows on the second floor for the general, sir," Dum Dum said. "Why didn't you get a ladder?" "We weren't ordered to use a ladder, sir. We were just told to get it done." Stone stared for 10 seconds, stern as his namesake, before walking around the building. It's then they hear him laughing hysterically. Everyone is staring at one another, not sure how to react. After a minute, Stone comes back calm as can be. "Who gave you the order to wash the windows?" "First Lieutenant Literal, sir." "Go to medical and get that bloody nose checked out. Help them get a laddersmith when they're cleared. And don't do that again, you two." "Yes, sir." After getting cleared by medical, Dum Dum was fine. Belle helps them get a ladder and returns to work. By the end of the day, word has spread and Belle got the full story. It turned out that Literal, who was also in a foul mood, had snapped at Dum Dum and Stepstool to go wash the windows on the second floor when they asked him how they could help. When asked how they could reach the second floor, Literal, who really wanted to get them out of his hair, told them, "I don't care how, just get it done, and don't bother anyone until you two get it done." He later apologized to Dum Dum and Stepstool, quietly, of course. Dum Dum and Stepstool finished their chore, and the general's arrival went well. From that day forward, Dum Dum and Stepstool were known as the window washers. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Von Boomslang. It says, "To be fair to the window washers, they were ordered not to bother anybody who might know where to get a ladder." I think it was George Carlin who said, "Think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of all people are more stupid than that." Some people really make me wonder how they got where they are in life. Like, this second lieutenant was supposed to be a relatively smart person, but just didn't have much common sense. I have a good argument for them not being a smart person, you know, by the fact that they were standing on somebody's shoulders to wash the windows on the second floor. Also, how tall was this person? Because the second floor of most buildings would still be out of reach on somebody's shoulders. Food for thought. This story comes to us from AMLT 1983. You want lesson plans? You asked for it. Once upon a time, in the quaint town of Academia, a new middle school assistant principal was placed at our school. One day, trying to impress the school principal, our assistant, Mr. Sternsworth, as we will call him, decided to crack down on the teacher's lesson planning process. Mr. Sternsworth, a stern man with a penchant for punctuality, issued a decree that all teachers must submit their lesson plans, detailed, on the form he provided that took way longer due to formatting and other demands, and wanted them promptly every Monday at 8 a.m. for the upcoming week. The teachers grumbled and complained as this takes a lot of time we could be preparing for the lesson, but we had little choice but to comply with the Sternsworth wishes. I, however, saw an opportunity for a little mischief. Determined to make a point, I not only submitted the lesson plans diligently every Monday at the specified time, but took it a step further. Along with each lesson plan, I attached a friendly email politely requesting feedback on the plans and any suggestions for improvement. Dear Mr. Sternsworth, I hope this email finds you well. Attached are my lesson plans for the upcoming week. I would greatly appreciate any feedback or suggestions you might have. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, OP. At first, Mr. Sternsworth was pleased to see such diligence from me. However, as the weeks went by, the inbox of the assistant principal began to overflow with my meticulously detailed lesson plans and polite follow-up emails. It seemed that every lesson plan submission was accompanied by a prompt for feedback. At first, Mr. Sternsworth tried to keep up. He skimmed through a few lesson plans, offering generic feedback like, "looks good," or "keep it up," but I was persistent. I pushed for more feedback. The flood of emails requesting feedback became overwhelming, and Mr. Sternsworth found himself spending more and more time responding to me than actually performing his administrative duties. Frustrated and desperate to put an end to the constant barrage of emails, Mr. Sternsworth called me into his office. "OP," he said with a weary sigh, "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I simply don't have the time to provide detailed feedback on every lesson plan. Can't you just submit them without all the extra emails?" Smirking, I replied, "Sorry, sir. I'm just a guy who wants to get better. I'm trying to make lesson plans that are really engaging. I really need the feedback. I hate to get docked on my end-of-year evaluation for being anything but the best." After a heavy sigh, Mr. Sternsworth said, "OP, if you stop emailing me about them, I won't make you turn any more in. It is obvious you're a good teacher, and I need to focus on other things." That was 12 years ago, and I haven't turned in a lesson plan since. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Nathan Jacob. It says, "Great malicious compliance. As much as I understand the usefulness of lesson plans, they are a means to an end and not an end of its own." OP responded to this one and said, "Well, I know what I'm teaching, but have a lot more time to do better quality lessons when I'm not typing them out for no one to look at. Just check a box for them." I think the moral of this story is you really have to be careful what you ask for, because you might just be given what you asked for, but not in the way that you were thinking you were going to get it.